Thanks for stopping by, guys, and welcome back to GearBlocks. This time, we're not really looking at a car creation, but instead taking a little look at this mini tank that we built during the stream the other day. Now, this was named by the chat as the Cybersaw because of its angular design, and, well, it's really kind of fun to play with. It was built as a test platform to experiment with tracks a little bit. But it ended up becoming something that was a lot of fun just to drive around and do, I guess you could call them stunts, just crawling over these rocks in little bits. Now, one difference between this version and the version we built on stream is I did actually add on a trench tail to the tank. That way you can actually do a bit more with it because it is so stubby that it really likes to roll backwards a lot. And in some cases, roll forwards as well. Now, the track links themselves, I have a little cutaway of, are really basic. It's just a bunch of these round beams with two pivot points, one here and here. So this is a dual pin track. And then you actually have the track pads with a small plate. This plate makes it so that the sprocket doesn't dig too deep into the gear, because if it digs too deep into the gear, it could get jammed and stuck. So this little pad helps that out. And then in the center, we have a little guide pin that goes in between all the road wheels, the idlers, and the actual sprocket itself, and keeps it on really well. It can pop off if you chuck it with the push tool, but during normal driving, it's extremely solid. Now, the track itself, let's actually grab this up onto build mode, is tensioned through this large spring, and in part by this spring. Basically, as all the springs curl out, they push the track into place and keep it nice and tight. One thing I would suggest if you do want to play with this for yourself is going over to the 0 tool, opening up, going into settings, and turning off constant contact detection. If you have it on, it will lag a lot and it will be really loud when you drive it, because every contact of this sprocket tooth to the track just has a really loud bang and clang. You can play with it like that. And you can even play with this with invincibility turned off. It's sturdy enough to actually work that way, but it's just laggy and not really worth it. So if you are going to try this out, turn off contact detection. But looking inside, it's really simple. It's just an inline 4 with a single gear and some meshes that help do steering and forward and reverse. So here is the inline 4. Just goes into a centrifugal clutch. That goes into this system. So this is two clutch gears. The rear gear is for forward. So when you press W, this clutch gear engages, so power is transmitted through here and then into the gear train. If you press S, it instead goes to these small ones, which, since there is an idler gear in the center, will reverse the output of the gears, and then comes down through. Some more gear ratios going into a large bevel gear, and then this actually steers using clutch brake. So how that works is while you're driving in either forward or reverse, if you press A or D, the clutch will disengage. So if I want to turn left, I press A, this clutch stops providing power to the track, and this brake actually stops the track. So this track stops while this track rolls, and it pulls the tank around. The same thing would happen if I press D. This clutch would disengage, this brake would engage. So this track would lose power and then get stopped so that we'd roll around it. What that actually looks like when we drive, if I hold 3, start up the engine, I can drive forward normally, but as soon as I press A, you'll see the yellow track stops and the red track just pulls us around. So it can't do neutral steer because you have to be pressing W or S. You have to be going forward or backwards to then apply the brake. But considering how small this is, it pretty much turns on the spot anyway, so it's not a major issue. And the tracks themselves do pretty decent. I could have tuned the suspension a little bit better, but it is able to just climb over a lot of stuff. And if I go over to these as well, I can climb up them just fine. And the reason that the trench tail is here is so that we can even climb up the flat side of some of this stuff. So this little jump here, we can just go up to and push against. And then the trench tail keeps us stable, so we can crawl right over it. And we can even do the same on these steps. If we go to it from the side, we can hit this flat edge. The pads from the track will actually grab on and just pull us right up this. There we go. Now the track does spin a little bit if I'm trying to go in reverse, just because I didn't do the best with the track geometry, because this was intended to be a test platform. However, it functions well enough to go in reverse. It's just a little bit slippy sometimes. You don't get the best engagement with that sprocket. But we can even climb up the side of this one. This thing is just, it's not fast. It's just fun to just go crawling around these, and it makes me really wish we had like a rock crawling map. Like, I know you could go climb up on those mountains and stuff, but like a proper jagged edges, large stones style rock crawling would be a lot of fun. Now, one additional detail I did actually do for this build is if I go into first person, I have these little tillers here, and whenever I press W, they go forward, press S, they come back, and then, of course, I can't neutral steer, but while I am actually driving, you could completely drive this in first person, and you have little control tillers. Now, this version of the tank is up on the workshop already, as well as the original one from Stream, the one that does not have the trench tail. So if you want to try either one of those, there should be links down in the description to find those, download those, and try them out. But other than that, I think that's really all there is worth showing. It's not that complex in its entirety. It's just inline 4, single gear, clutch brake turning. The real showcase here is just tracks and how well they actually work in this game, because just about any other building game you would be hitting single digit frame rates. So long as I have collision turned off, I'm hitting 44 frames. And I'm recording. So even without that, normally I'm hitting 60 frames with this tank just driving around. I absolutely love how optimized this game is for just the sheer amount of stuff it can allow you to do because of that complexity. So other than me just wanting to drive this tank around for another like 5 minutes just to show it off, unfortunately I am going to be ending this episode here shortly. So If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like. If you have suggestions, leave in the comments down below. If you enjoy the channel, enjoy what I'm doing, please subscribe. It helps out a lot. And right now, if you really want to help out the channel, please share this episode with a friend. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. And until next time, peace.